Hotel del Luna is a shared rest hotel for the undead. The hotel president was named Zhang Manue. He was the auntie of the monkey tree 1,300 years ago. A Joguli immigrant was confined here to atone for his sins. The killings were excessive during the full moon that year. After meeting Dama Auntie, she became the owner of the Moon Inn. This is now the Del Luna Hotel. From then on, his life was bound to the moon spirit tree, neither born nor dead, like a shadow following the form. During these 1,300 years, he stayed at the hotel the whole time. He also expanded the hotel team to include a barmaid and a chief roommate. The management team of the general manager and the general manager. Among them, only the general manager is human. The rest are ghosts. This is the Korean drama Hotel del Luna that Mei Chong is going to explain today. The drama is set in the bustling heart of Seoul. There is a hotel that operates only for souls who cannot leave, providing premium services for souls. If you love fantasy romance, don't miss out. Recently, Del Luna Hotel is about to welcome its 99th general manager. All are brilliant stars. He was the reward Manue had received 21 years ago for saving his life. In 1998, Chansong's father was chased by the police for stealing something. One slip and you tumble down the stairs. Chanching's father's true body fell into a coma. The soul continues to flee without realizing it. Accidentally entered the Del Luna Hotel. Chanching's father's spirit wanders the hotel. He arrived in front of the moon spirit tree. He wanted to pick a flower to give to his son as a birthday present. But Manue caught him right in the act. Chanching's father begged Manue to spare him. He explained that picking flowers was just a birthday gift for his son. Full Moon was incredulous. The moon spirit technique has never truly flourished. Manue understood. This might be a sign from above. She decided to let Chanching's father go. But in exchange, 20 years later, she took Chanching away. To survive, Chanching's dad could only agree. A deal to avoid the eyeless female ghost. He jumped straight into the pool. This almost made Mangetsu, who came looking for her, laugh out loud. But Chanching stubbornly refused to surrender. Fortunately, Mangetsu didn't care about her thoughts. She came this time to have Chanching accompany her. They arrived at Chairman Zhang's home at the hotel. Chairman Zhang is recuperating at home due to daily nightmares. Chanching came to visit as a company employee. The tiger that had previously arrived at the entrance of Del Luna. It was brought back by Chairman Zhang during his visit to North Korea. Besides the tiger, there is also a painting of Changbai Mountain. After the tiger's death, its soul corroded Chairman Zhang's dreams day and night. After the two arrived at the chairman's house, Mangetsu barged straight into the chairman's bedroom. This made Chanching feel very embarrassed. But Chairman Zhang didn't mind. He even took the initiative to chat with them about the Changbai Mountain painting hanging in the bedroom, and the one that was made into a specimen after death. A tiger placed in the exhibition hall. Manuel Yaodong said directly, Chairman Zhang should send the tiger back. But Chairman Zhang believes the tiger was denounced as a specimen. It has become a symbol of communication. It is not something that can be destroyed or returned at will. As soon as he finished speaking, the glass in Chairman Zhang's bedroom, of course everything was shattered. And this abnormality, it was the soul of that tiger that was angry. Let Chanching address the president's safety issues. A bit worried, after leaving the chairman's house, the full moon sent Chanching to seek Yao and Ganfu. The scene was marked with lesions and paintings, but the bright stars are about to reach a full moon, mistaken for a scammer. He firmly refused the order. He stormed home in anger, but just as he reached the doorstep, he encountered manager Lu's ghost. The other party encouraged him to bravely explore the hotel's value, because this is a secret world that no one else will know. After giving instructions, manager Lu went to Del Luna. As a guest, he was about to embark on the path to the underworld. Usually, the full moon appears cold and ruthless. When it came time to actually send off his subordinates, he looked reluctant. Manager Lu's words made Chanching ponder. He took the initiative to find the president, but they found the painting had been taken away by the full moon. It turns out the main purpose of the full moon for this painting. He wanted to find a place for the tiger to have a wife. Although I cannot return deeply to my hometown, but you can revisit Changbai Mountain in paintings. And after figuring out these key points, Chanching's fear of the Del Luna Hotel and ghosts has also lessened. He even voluntarily escorted the eyeless female ghost to the Del Luna Hotel. He even sincerely sent an apology text to Manue. But that didn't mean she wasn't afraid of ghosts at all. At that moment, while working at a hotel, she accidentally encountered a wishing ghost. He was even chased all the way to the side of Yongchi. Fortunately, Mangetsu, who received the message, arrived just in time to save her. He even took the rescued unconscious woman back to the hotel to rest. Watching the hotel reach its opening hours, the magnificent hall was brightly lit. Everyone was at their posts. Jijin can provide customers with high-quality service. Chanching also developed feelings for the Del Luna he remembered. After Manue brought Chanching back to the hotel, a man hid in the courtyard. He gazed up at the moon spirit technique closely tied to his life, recalling 1,000 years ago, himself and his friend Yen Yu, the past of the robbery of Princess Songhua of Yenzhou City. After the robbery, they were preparing to leave. The guard captain, Qing Qingming, suddenly appeared, got into a fight with Yen-yu. Seeing Yen-yu unable to withstand him, the full moon high above shoots arrows toward Qingming, blowing the whistle to remind everyone to retreat. Qingming realized there was someone up there, chasing after the full moon all the way. Throw the full moon off the horse and remove his veil. Attracted by the beauty of the full moon, this is how the two met. My future grudges have been foreshadowed. Just as she was lost in memories, the Aunt Ma who had imprisoned her here appeared. The two talked about the binding between the moon spirit tree and the full moon. Aunt Ma urged Manue to let the moon spirit tree pat the flower palms at night, and also allow your life to flow again. But Manue directly refused. Looking at such a stubborn full moon, Mama Gu felt a bit reluctant. She quietly nurtured the birth of a flower from the moon spirit tree, and put it into Sanqing's heart. Let her share the past of dreaming of a full moon, unraveling the knots in the heart of the full moon, and the full moon leaving the courtyard. At this moment they arrived at the main hall. Hotel Delona at night. It was like a normal hotel with ghosts coming and going. This scene left Sanqing deeply surprised. Afterwards, Manue took Sanqing to tour the hotel room, the beach and rooftop. This finally convinced him. The hotel scene Dad described was real. But soon the full moon told him, everything here is a scene that doesn't exist in reality, including the full moon itself. Manue once again suggested he stay here, and this time Sanqing agreed. But the premise is that the full moon must provide her with a normal salary and cannot interfere with it. She is free in her outfits. Manue smiled and agreed, looking at her smile. Sanqing recalled the full moon smiling in her dream she had seen in her dream. After confirming her position at the Delona Hotel, Sanqing took the position and got to know the hotel. Several permanent staff. Just as the receptionist Hyunjung was about to talk to Sanqing about the full moon celebration, but the room manager abruptly interrupts the conversation and sends Sanqing off work. Although I was curious about the full moon, but Sanqing obediently returned to her friend's house. This time he dreamed of the full moon and Gao Qingming. Scenes of conversation and drinking by the river. And the dream wasn't over yet. A full moon call came in. He asked Sanqing to sell the paintings of Changbai Mountain to get him a new car. This move nearly drove Sanqing furious. So he also gave Mangetsu a trouble. That is, bringing the ghost Kim Yuna she encountered on the street back to the hotel. Looking at this being forcibly removed from his body by a ghost, Manue really wanted to issue a Juga order directly. But when she learned that Yuna was the only daughter of a wealthy family, she immediately changed her attitude. He promised to help her recover the body possessed by the ghost Xiao Jin. Under Yuna's guidance, Manuel and Chanseong came to her home, but at the door Red Pouch directly to Sanqing. Let one of them or her friends marry you. This put Sanqing in a difficult position. To save his friend. After thinking it over repeatedly, Sanqing said he decided to marry Xiaomin in place of his friend. But unexpectedly, as soon as she opened the door, I saw the scene of the ancient full moon dressed in wedding attire. This left her a bit bewildered. When the full moon before her pulled her to protect the line, he told Sanqing that he had someone bring him along. Xiaomin's boyfriend married her. Actually, Xiaomin doesn't want to get married. On the contrary, she was reluctant to leave because she wanted to get married. And the person preparing this open marriage, they are not Xiaomin's parents, but the boyfriend's parents. Xiaomin and her boyfriend deeply love each other. An accident happened on the wedding day. The in-laws worried that the deceased Xiaomin would take their son away. To separate the son of the marriage name from the deceased Xiaomin, this desperate measure is made. Once the open marriage is completed, the person who married Xiaomin would accompany her to the afterlife. Tanxin was so frightened that she hurried to knock on the wedding door, but no matter how hard he tried, he couldn't open it, just as she was as anxious as an ant on a hot pan. But the groom suddenly ran out from inside. It turns out that in the end, Xiaomin couldn't bear to drag her beloved boyfriend down with her. She deliberately scared her away with the appearance of a ghost. Let your boyfriend's ghost return to your body. And before the wedding, she gave her scissors. It severed the thread of fate between the two. This scene moved both Sanqing and Manue. They then personally escorted Xiaomin onto the underworld bus. And the full moon moved and prayed to Sanqing. Follow God's will. Take good care of yourself. Then he would properly send himself off. Leaving the hotel after work, Chansong encounters a male ghost on the subway. To get her to check into a hotel, he deliberately took the ghost to the convenience store to buy beer. But unexpectedly, he saw Kim Junhyun being watched. This reminded him of Kim Junhyun's #1 fan, the full moon. Somehow, as if possessed, he followed the crowd to ask for autographs. But in the end, he gave up. Just as he was about to turn back home, but then he encountered the full moon that came looking for him. The two of them planned to go to the west coast to eat small octopus, but they hadn't set off yet. The full moon was because he heard Kim Junxian was filming at a restaurant in front. Excited, he took off running. Unfortunately, Mangetsu ultimately didn't meet her idol. Frustrated, she could only drag Sanqing to a gourmet restaurant for a meal. At the shop, she told Sanqing, the owner's daughter is Fuxing, because in her previous life, she did many good deeds, and those who do evil can only be reborn as pigs or dogs. The speaker has no intention, but the listener takes it to heart. Sanqing already made money from the ghosts because of the full moon, yet inwardly he was dissatisfied. Now, she was even more worried that she might be reincarnated as livestock. To this end, she began preparations. Let the full moon live a frugal life. And the first step she took. This means forcing you to sell your car at 1 month old to pay off the debt. Although this matter made Mangetsu extremely resistant. But in the end, she still obediently complied. Ever since the classmates witnessed Yuna's bizarre scene, he was chatting in the school piano room. The girls heard her talking to herself. He assumed she was a freak, talking to ghosts. Yuna Yang pretended to be playing the piano, and Yuna's soul inside her is Xiao Jin. She simply couldn't play the piano. The girls had already noticed. Yuna is different from before. She even reminded him a bit of the old Xiao Jin. They thought she was possessed by a ghost. The girls egged him on, making Yuna bounce up. Yuna anxiously placed her fingers on the Qin sword. I am at a loss for what the right time is. Hyunjung grabbed her hands from behind. Under Hyunjung's leadership, Yuna played a beautiful melody. This familiar melody also reminded Hyunjung of his own sister. Days slip away unnoticed. It was just the time when the full moon and 100 nobles could barely rely on it. She unexpectedly arrives at the hotel after learning that the ghost of Wang Shang Lishan arrives. Excited, she led all the staff to the lobby to greet them with luggage. The scale of the scene startled Ken, who was standing nearby. He told Manue, "This man is not the king." But Manue didn't believe it. But in the end, the truth slapped him in the face. This person is just the actor in the TV drama King of Kings. But proud and unwilling to admit his ignorance, he was unwilling to admit his ignorance. In the end, under the brutal routine, Mangetsu agreed to help him realize his dream of becoming a king's actor. The two dressed up as waiters from the charity food truck and infiltrated the crew. Unexpectedly, as soon as he entered, but this unexpectedly led Mangetsu to discover a business opportunity. Turns out the male lead plays King Shang, because it cannot portray the majesty of an emperor, and he was discussing it with the director, giving up a few $100 million in pay. This immediately made her realize the role of a ghost actor. She immediately disguised herself as the queen, drawing the male actor to a place where no one notices. Then the rec actor took the opportunity to become the male lead. This not only successfully fulfilled the dream of being a ghost actor to become king, they could also get a share of the male actor's salary for the full moon. This matter was soon discovered by Chanxing. She directly warned Mangetsu, but Mangetsu didn't take her words to heart. He even asked Hyunjung to bring Yuna over, accept follow-up requests from the production team. When Yuna left, he is with Chanxing's ex-girlfriend, Mira, and passed by after seeing it. Afterwards, the two prepared to leave the crew, go on a date on the west coast. They agreed to meet at the hotel, maybe after the full moon was carefully dressed up, but Chanxing's figure was still nowhere to be seen. The receptionist Xianzhong beside him. Yuna mentioned Marrow. It was an inappropriate exaggeration. Chanxing's ex-girlfriend, Mira. This made Manue suddenly move. I lost the mood for a date. She ran straight to the hotel beach. Go see the sea, and even specially let headquarters handle affairs. Set the sunlight to the evening temperature. But you can enjoy the beautiful scenery of the blue sea and silver beaches. The story of Go Chung-myung catching fireflies to cheer him up years ago. But suddenly, a thought surfaced in his mind. This made him feel even sadder. Meanwhile, Chanseong, whose date was inexplicably cancelled, was a bit confused. He came to the hotel because Manue suddenly changed her mind. He then took out Kim Junhyun's autograph and gave it to him. It turned out that the reason he was late wasn't because of Marrow. Instead, on the way here, he ran into Kim Junhyun. To fulfill the full moon's fandom dream, he deliberately caught up with the other party to ask for autographs. He even took a verification photo. After learning the truth, Manue felt much more at ease. Looking at Chanxing's hard-won autograph, a full moon was deeply moved, even if they haven't made it to the real seaside. Instead, he stayed in the hotel to watch this fake sea. As long as Chanxing is by her side, it feels especially wonderful. The full moon reminds me of Go Chung-myung. That one was clearly Miss Songhwa's guard. She stood day and night by the city wall admiring the moon, thinking of the full moon. As they spent more time together, Mangetsu also fell for her. He would even sneak off to visit the other person. Saw the other party with Songhwa. The extreme full moon left directly. Go Chung-myung caught up with the full moon. The two flirted and bickered. Go Chung-myung didn't hide it either. Her longing and affection for the full moon. Time passed like this. Kaixing gradually adapted to working in hotels. That day, she was just about to see Yiming off, a male ghost who died from a blood hemorrhage. But unexpectedly, in the hotel lobby, he was caught head-on with his wife and his first love. The scene suddenly spiraled out of control. The couple couldn't help but argue. He even got physical. Seeing this, Kaixing hurried forward to mediate, but he was thrown out with a single hand. Fortunately, the full moon appeared just in time. The storm was quelled. As for the Delona Hotel, the ghost couple's triangular chain, just a small episode. What truly gives both people and ghosts headaches? It was the runaway female ghost number 13. Ever since she escaped from the hotel, sending Marrow into the sea. Then she took the bag she had dropped on the ground and strode away, leaving Kaixing, who didn't know the truth, standing there dumbfounded. Kaixing hurriedly rescued Meiluo, then returned to the hotel to find Manue. But he didn't see the other person. A few employees nearby comforted her not to worry, because Manue is a person trapped in a hotel. As long as she stayed more than one night away from the Del Luna Hotel, Yu Lingshu would take the hotel and chase her to her location. That is, except for Hotel Del Luna, there is no place for a full moon to reside in either the living world or the living world. This made Chanxing immediately understand. What does it mean when Manue once said she wouldn't die? This also made her feel even more sympathy for Manue's situation. Sure enough, not long after, Manue returned to Del Luna. But at this moment, she appeared especially dejected. To comfort the other person, Chanxing specially asked the housekeeper to prepare champagne. Manue then went to the rooftop to chat with Chanxing. Nor did she expect that Changsung not only didn't blame her, he even expressed his concern for her warmly. This allowed Manue to feel warmth amid her sorrow. Her feelings for Chanxing also reached a new level. But that doesn't mean Manue is willing to let Miro off the hook. She had Yuna keep a close eye on Miro's every move. One day, Miro contacted Chanxing, Want to get your friends to sponsor hotels where you work at Sanxing. He learned the whole story. Sanxing asks Manuel to go to Myra's friend's house to catch ghosts. Under Sanxing's persistent persuasion, Mangetsu softly agreed. The two of them entered the house. Soon, a burst of music came through. Sanxing went inside to check it out. A retro girl seized Sanxing. He ran over and hugged her, and called the brilliant star Min. Later, Mangetsu entered the room and saw the scene. He wished he could kill this girl. The girl clung to Sanxing, unwilling to be apart from her. Manuel was tossing and turning around the room. Finally discovered, retro girls occasionally bounce around in this house. Not ghosts. Instead, it was a fantasy character created by someone. At that moment, the male homeowner's mother came to her study. At 22, my mother married someone she didn't love through an arranged marriage. For someone like her, who had no dating experience, looking forward to an ordinary romance. My mother was too obsessed. Thus, a retro girl was created. He poured his own experiences and romantic dreams onto her. A fantasy scenario where the leads, second men, and third men all love him. To send the girl away, mother burned those postcards and diaries filled with fantasies. It all ended there. With this, Manuel immediately came up with a way to get back at Maro. She gave Maro an invitation card for Del Luna. Then he instructed Hyunjung to reopen the amusement park for Meluo. She used the family portrait in Meluo's bag as a blueprint. It recreates the amusement park of Meluo's childhood, and created an unfortunate little Maro. Instill in him the experience of being abandoned by his parents. I hope he lives in the shadows for the rest of his life. After learning that Maro was meeting at the Del Luna Hotel, he hurried over, and before Maro could hold little Maro's hand, he was not only caused both him and Maro to collapse and lose consciousness from the assault of the evil energy. The full moon plan was also terminated. Chanseong didn't want Manuel to be harshly rebuked by hatred, losing reason. Continue living in hell, reaching as far as the brilliant stars. No matter what position the full moon is in, she always stays by Mangetsu's side. To save Chanxing, Mangetsu asked Yuna to send Miley back. At the same time, he helped Chanxing remove the murderous aura. Looking at this man who was blocking her revenge, Manua's heart was full of inner turmoil. She recalled the grudges between herself and Songhua. Back then, the full moon and words of the Tao tribulation. Ready to join the rebels, leaving Yenzhou City to rebuild the kingdom. But just before leaving, I saw my own wine bottle hanging from the tree I often visited. This was her secret code with Go Chung-myung. Full moon rushes to the usual place to see her lover. Unexpectedly, he fell into Songhua's trap and was caught. Go Chung-myung even took orders to arrest Yan Yu. Soon after, Yan Yu was hanged alive in front of Manuel. He was saved by Go Chung-myung. Princess Songhua promised not to trouble Manuel again. To avenge everyone. The full moon was on the night Songhua and Qingming got married. Sneaking into the bridal chamber, after throwing Songhua aside, he planned to assassinate Go Qingming, and this hatred had hidden in his heart for 1,000 years. Seeing Sanxing's actions today, Manuel doesn't want Chanxing to come into her hellish life. After much thought, he quietly sent the Changbai mountain painting and Sanxing back to a friend's home, and he left without saying goodbye. Moved the hotel elsewhere. Announced that Chanseong had been fired by the Del Luna Hotel. When Sanxing woke up and saw the painting of Changbai Mountain, he immediately sensed something was wrong. He hurried to the hotel, but all he saw was an empty house. This left him feeling a sense of loss. They could only seek help at the pharmacy, but Magu was unwilling to tell him where Manuel had been. He also gave him the medicine sealed with the ghost eye. Just take it. Chanxing can return to a normal life. At this moment, Manuel led everyone with him. Preparations for the hotel's site selection and reconstruction began. But because he usually lived an excessively extravagant life, this led them to choose remote rural areas as the hotel's new address. Although the internal environment has not changed, but the full moon of a lavish life has been expanded. Still, it feels like the traffic jam is overwhelming. What made him even more restrained was the agent actually called to tell him, because of that piece of land in Druna, due to inheritance tax payments, transfer is not possible. The full moon, unfamiliar with human rules, is restless. At that moment, suddenly, Sanxing's voice came through the phone. It turned out she had come to the hotel again, and by chance I ran into an agent. She accused Manuel of leaving without saying goodbye. He also asked the other party to invite him back to the hotel, but after the full moon hesitated, or choose to let the agent move her away. But this phone call also successfully disturbed Manuel's heart. In a bad mood, she wanted to drink to drown her sorrows, but the cocktail Jin Shuxing made was ready. It didn't suit her taste, so Mangetsu had no choice but to run nearby. Balon Distillery delivers rice wine. Feeding the wine bugs, she planned to return to the hotel, but unexpectedly, they encountered the great cave Jingshan, who guards the village's spring water. The full moon that May regarded as a full moon exchange a few words with her. Yuna, the next manager candidate, and Hyunjung are together. Pulling full moon's luggage and drinks, we headed to the Del Luna Hotel. On the road, he saw a female ghost sitting in a gray car nearby. The female ghost saw that Yuna could see her and called for help. Soft-hearted, Yuna instructed the driver to follow the gray car, but ended up in a forest. He saw a male ghost, but the one in the gray car was clearly a female ghost. Yuna sensed something was wrong, entering the woods to check, but a corpse was discovered. Many ghosts also appeared before him, Soon, the police received the news. 5 secretly buried bodies were discovered on the mountain. The male police officer in charge of investigating the case. It was the words from a past life. As for Yuna and Hyunjung, he then brought the ghosts back to the Delona Hotel. The whole courtyard was still nowhere to be found. Sanching could only go home. But at home, he ran into an old friend. That person is Chairman Jung. It turned out the other party had already passed away. Before leaving, I wanted to take a look at the painting of Changbai Mountain, where the tiger is located. This suddenly made Sanching's eyes light up. He recommended the Del Luna Hotel to the president. And under the other's guidance, they successfully found the location of the full moon. Seeing Sanching appear at the hotel once again, the full moon was both surprised and delighted. But he still tried hard to hide his emotions. And Sanching grasped his love of money. Exploited the president. You have to understand, this medicine was something she had worked so hard to get. But all Chanseong wants is to always be by Manuel's side. I hope the full moon will always protect me. But before she could finish her anxiety, the alarm suddenly emerged from the clear spring. He even returned the pill to her. Chanching was speechless at her lack of insight. Sanching refused to take the pill on the ground during the full moon. She wanted to stay by Mangetsu's side. He would never let her end up completely destroyed. To get Mangetsu to agree to rehire her at the hotel, she brought her to the restaurant where Kim Jungsun had eaten for a full month. But Manuel excused herself by saying she no longer liked Kim Junxian. Smart Chanching had already noticed her occasional gestures and expressions. He learned that she was a dog with a heart-eating heart. After finishing the meal, Sanching sent the full moon back to the hotel, and actively working on it. And the first thing she did was delivering a letter to Chairman Zheng's granddaughter. Manuel was quite dissatisfied with this, but what made her even more uninhibited was Jin Shusheng actually chose Sanching as the candidate, recommended to Chairman Zheng as his grandson-in-law. To prevent Chanching from dating the chairman's granddaughter, Manuel ran to Sanching's office. Unexpectedly, Jin Shusheng also happened to come looking for Sanching. Remind her to go on a date. The full moon that hears the voice. He pulled Sanching behind the door, and the two of them were tightly pressed together, their ambiguous posture. It also made Mangetsu a little shy. She had no choice but to deliberately shout at Sanching, to cover up his panic. Originally, it was thought the crisis would be resolved, but the next day, President Zheng actually stopped buying the dream call service. He even introduced Chanching to his granddaughter over the phone. Mangetsu stood nearby, smirking. Angry, he hung up her phone directly, but the president's granddaughter still listened to her grandfather. Arranged to meet Sanching for a meal. This scene was also highlighted by Jin Shusheng. Gray voices described to Menuetting. Manuel was furious, speaking up. He went straight to the library where they were dating. Fortunately, Sanching was at this moment, using the reason that he liked someone. He declined the president's granddaughter's kindness, and to be happy for the red full moon, she took Manuel to see the paintings of Changbai Mountain in the art gallery. He even took her to the library built by President Zheng to catch ghosts. This female ghost specifically guards a book. Do not let others browse through it. As long as someone approached, she will run it down. The two of them walked over to the book. Sanching pulled out the book, but he was stopped by the female ghost. A female ghost appeared. Sanching asked what had happened. Turns out this book contains the fact that the female ghost wants to bury it. He asked Sanching to help him get rid of the book. Sanching agreed immediately. Seeing the photo tucked inside the book, Sanching saw one of them. It was a photo from his childhood. Unexpectedly, this ghost was Chanching's biological mother. The mother thought this was a stain she needed to hide. In the mother's eyes, having children herself is a stain that needs to be hidden. He couldn't let his family know about this. This outcome left Chansong deeply hurt. He could only leave with a gloomy expression. He never saw his mother after birth. Unexpectedly, the other party had already passed away. These photos were all sent to him by his father. But it was a past he wanted to hide. Manuel, standing nearby, wanted to comfort Chanching. But as soon as the flower leaves the mouth, the flavor changes. The original comfort turned into a half-spoken word. This made Sanching even more unhappy. I turned and went to my friend's pizza place, leaving Mangetsu alone in the library. Unexpectedly, Sanching was actually here. By chance, I came across the words of reincarnation. He also discovered that Yen had become a friend of Meiluo. This made him very worried. The feud between the two and the full moon. Earlier, volunteered and left proudly. And after volunteering to leave, the whole courtyard began to worry. Kai Ching's safety issues. He wanted Kai Ching to follow him closely, never leaving his side. The case was solved. The female ghost asked Yuna to express her gratitude. Yuna was in a great mood. He came to Xiao Jin's ashes, visiting your true self. She was also killed by the Xiangxin Huishi. He can help female ghosts who died unjustly. It also brought Xiao Jin some peace of mind. Hyunjung stayed by Yuna's side. Unconsciously, the two admired each other. Yuna didn't care whether Hyunjung was human. Initiate kisses on the cheek, and confessed in person. Hyunjung could no longer suppress his emotions. He took the initiative to kiss Yuna. In recent days, the full moon and the brilliant star have been inseparable. This time, the two of them went to a private clinic. The goal was to take away the couple's child from the clinic. This was the deal made between the full moon and the Grim Reaper. The Shinigami gang captured Mangetsu's vengeful spirit. Mangetsu is meant to help death kill that child, and take it back to the hotel. But this was not a revenge or killing, because this child was already a person with a life in danger, and the reason he has been able to live until now. It was all thanks to his parents donating their own lifeline to their child. But his parents had gray hair. To give children the space to choose on their own. Full Moon asks Sanxing to stay with the couple at the clinic. Go find that child yourself. Explain everything your parents have done for you, and let him make his own choices. The classical Chinese child finally arrived before their parents arrived. He chose to give up his own life. Complete the mission. Sanxing took Manuel to a friend's restaurant for dinner. Watching friends frantically cook delicious food because they miss their girlfriends, Sanxing begged for the full moon. Help deceive friends. Make the other party believe his girlfriend is still in the hotel. It brings some comfort to my heart. But the full moon is unwilling to give friends such meaningless hope. She exposed Changsung's lie in front of her friends. She was hoping Sanxing would pull her out and get thoroughly familiar with her. But Manuel expressed her concerns. One day she will leave. When the time comes, she will fall in love with her own Sanxing. Will you also be unable to face reality like your friends? Just thinking about the upcoming farewells and deaths, the full moon involuntarily brings sorrow from within. She still hoped to be the one she left behind. Kanxing was able to send her off with ease. Only then would she not be afraid to leave. But at this moment, Sanxing needed some buffer period. After comforting good friends, she returned to the hotel courtyard to look for Manuel and tell her. After learning about the sad past of the full moon, their bond deepened continuously. Their bond grew ever deeper, and parting is the price she must pay. But Sanxing was willing to endure it. Hope the full moon is not afraid. Hearing this heartfelt confession, Manuel finally couldn't hold back and kissed Sanxing. The two embraced tightly, feeling the happiness and pain of flowers blooming and withering. That day, Drona welcomed another male guest. This guest was hated by the housekeeper. He was already the last male heir of the noble family. Before confirming that the other party is not married, the noble families had no successors. The housekeeper is finally about to unravel 200 years of resentment. The head housekeeper was originally the daughter-in-law of the Yin family and gave birth to a baby girl. The child died shortly after birth. The aristocratic family hastily buried the baby girl. Not long after, someone spoke of the baby's grave. It will ending be successfully born. The family head heard this. He immediately ordered the ink to be dug up. The housekeeper, who is a ghost, watching this scene with heartache, cursing the noble families to have no descendants. The angry housekeeper harbored deep resentment, almost turned into a demon. It was the messenger from hell who appeared just in time. Together with Manuel, they saved him. And now, once again, he saw hope for revenge. This made everyone worry about his condition. Before everyone could go out to find the housekeeper, she saw him attending a man's funeral. Like eggplants in doubles. He returned dejectedly. It turns out the noble families have descendants. Although the man was unmarried, but his girlfriend became pregnant with his child. If your girlfriend is carrying a boy, the family lineage will continue to be continued. The hostess's hatred will continue. The guest room is suitable for sitting in the living room when down and out. Looking back at those years, his daughter passed away shortly after birth. The doctors followed the orders of the noble families. No one was willing to treat his daughter. He could only watch helplessly as his daughter died. To comfort the room manager, Sanxing specially wore the tiger print suit that Manuel gave her. The guest room manager smiled. The room briefly makes you forget your sadness. This approach was praised by many. After seeing this, Mangetsu excitedly ran over to find her, but Sanxing got ahead of her. He took off his clothes. Manuel even wanted to take a certification photo of her. Afterwards, the two went to a restaurant to drink pork rib soup. He even went to see the pregnant woman whom the head of the guest room hated. But on the way, he encountered the god of wealth, Magua. Manuel greeted him warmly. Invite the god of wealth to come visit Delana for a while. Bring financial luck to the full moon. Not long after, pregnant women at work. Suddenly, he felt a sharp pain in his stomach. The man immediately rushed back to Druna. He told the hostess about the situation. Hopefully, he can find a human manager to call 120 to untangle the room manager's inner knots. At 1 month old, he specially brought a pregnant woman. The dangerous situation was reported to the housekeeper, and personally took her to witness it. The enemy is about to be wiped out, but looking at the pregnant woman collapsed on the ground, the housekeeper finally couldn't hold back, asked Sanxing to help get her to the hospital, and unconsciously share your past with the other person. It turned out he was once the patriarch of the prominent Yin family, but because she gave birth to a son, she was abandoned by her family. And that's not all. The Yin family believed the witch's words. He believed his daughter would hinder the family's fortune in Nanding, and forcibly held his daughter, and starved the child to death. The head of the house was driven crazy. The noble families killed him outright. All these experiences made him hate him to the extreme, to the extent that before his death, he cursed the Yin family to end their line and have no descendants. And this curse is also the reason he stayed at the Del Luna Hotel. But today, he personally saved that only child. Listening to such a sad story, Sanxing didn't know how to comfort him. But the troubles Sanxing faced at this time were not limited to this one. After much hesitation, Manuel still told Sanxing. The evil ghost Jaiwan has already begun targeting Sanxing's closest friends. He had already sent protective items to his friends. As for Mero, he did not want to protect him. But for some reason, he always felt a bit guilty. So in the end, she chose to tell Sanxing about it. To protect Mero, Sanxing grabbed Manuel and hurried to the cinema to look for her. But unexpectedly, the applicant was not targeting Milo, but words. Yen Ming rushed to the cinema to meet Milo, frightened by the volunteers behind him in the darkness. Rolling down the stairs, looking at Yen's fate, he ended up at the bus stop in the underworld. Chansong mistakenly thought he had boarded the Grim Reaper's carriage, and he chased straight into the underworld tunnel. But because of this, he got lost inside. Just as he couldn't find his way, a firefly flew to his side, and through possession, successfully led her out of the tunnel. Meanwhile, on the other side, the full moon. After learning that Kenshing had broken into the underworld tunnel, he didn't even bother to change clothes. He ran to the entrance. Then I saw Sanqing step by step walking out from inside. With red eyes, she threw herself into his arms. The next second, Kenshing's head-patting gesture, but it made her whole body freeze as if electrified, because this was Go Chung-myung's final move before dying. Sanqing safely returned from the underworld tunnel. It was a blessing in disguise, but the head-patting gesture she made was a killing gesture. But Manuel mistakenly thought she was Go Chung-myung. A moment later, Sanqing regained its sanctity. In a panic, Manuel ran straight back to the hotel. Actually, that firefly was Go Chung-myung. She has always been by Mangetsu's side. This time, she originally intended to embark on the path to the underworld. On the way, he ran into the lost Sanqing. Send her back, and all this back and forth. It drained most of the firefly's strength. Her breath grew weaker and weaker. Mama Gu arrived before the moon spirit tree. By chance, I encountered a full moon. She didn't just tell Mangetsu. Go Chung-myung had already come to her side. He even gave her the hairpin that Chung-myung hadn't given away 1,000 years ago. This nearly breaks down the full moon. Now, she believes Changsung is the reincarnation of Go Chung-myung. She couldn't accept the person she had hated for 1,000 years. She transformed into the person she loved most right now. Mama Gu did not answer for the full moon. Instead, wait for the full moon to decide for herself. She was the envoy of Sanqing to avenge Go Chung-myung's death, or continue loving Kenshing and find redemption. After leaving the courtyard, Manuel met Sanqing. The moment he saw the other person, the hairpin in his hand suddenly turned into a long sword. He stepped forward without hesitation. He stabbed the sword hard into Sanqing's chest, watching the other person collapse unconscious. Manuel was trembling with fear. This scene happened to be witnessed by the head of the house. He worriedly stepped forward to ask. It turned out that the scene just now was just an illusion of the full moon. His heart had already made its choice. He killed the Sanqing he deeply loved. The housekeeper comforted him. Sanqing might not be the reincarnation of Go Chung-myung. That is indeed possible. The full moon calms the mind. She absolutely could not kill Sanqing. As for where he would go from here, she still needed to think carefully. The full moon shines on the hairpin. It was as if I saw my past self. She saw that part of the past she didn't want to recall. This hairpin finally broke free from the full moon, pulled back into the abyss, carrying resentment toward the past. The past full moon has turned into a vengeful ghost, sealed in a hairpin. Then Manuel rushed ahead of Death and Chanseyong, found Ziyuan, and demanded that she eat the hairpin filled with resentment, turn into a demon. This means the full moon will become an accomplice to the evil spirits, and now faces a fate of annihilation. But at this moment, Sanqing was unaware of any of this. After learning that Manuel had released Ji Yuan, unable to resist the full moon of the other party, and the full moon of mental breakdown, he told her the details of his conversation with Aunt Ma. He also stated that he would no longer protect those he had hated for 1,000 years. This sudden turn of events left Sanqing somewhat stunned. She chased after the hotel she had returned to after the full moon, but Manuel locked herself in the courtyard of the moon spirit tree, and sealed the entrance of the cave. Unable to enter, Sanqing could only anxiously pace in circles. To understand everything, Sanqing ran to the pharmacy. Zhao Magu confirmed her relationship with Go Chung-myung, but at the pharmacy he saw a firefly transformed into Go Chung-myung. She was already very weak. Only then was Mama Gu bring her back. And Firefly is the first guest at the Del Luna Hotel. But Magu reminded Sanqing. At this moment, the most important thing is to retrieve the hairpin from the full moon. So Sanqing hurriedly followed the scent of the full moon hairpin, found support and stalled for time, waiting for the 3 hotel friends and the Grim Reaper to rescue them. Caught the evil spirit, Sanqing returned to the hotel with her full moon hairpin. From the hands of the Taoist Magu, he saved Manuel, who was desperate to die. This saved the full moon from being reduced to ashes. To untangle the knots in Manuel's heart, Sanqing handed the hairpin to Manuel, and let the other party kill him with his own hands. This way, the hatred of the full moon can be resolved. He could always stay by her side. But the full moon of Sanqing deeply loves Sanqing. Looking at the hairpin in his hand, now transformed into a dagger. But he still couldn't bring himself to act. He hesitated repeatedly. He still chose to give up on revenge, even to the point of Ziyuan cursing. The housekeeper led me to a room. The ghosts he killed had long been waiting inside, punishing Ziyuan. After this incident, Manuel decided to move forward head-on. He invited Mei Luo and Yen Yu to the hotel, asked them to drink petals made from the moon spirit tree, cocktails made from the mix. But by chance, it happened. Let Manuel see the future he had never known before. At the full moon that year, I saw the wine bottle. Rushed to meet Chung-myung. Gao Qingming and others were at the usual spot. I want to give the hairpin to Manuel. Unexpectedly, Songhua came here, informed Gao Qingming. His father suspected him of colluding with the thief Mangetsu. To protect Gao Qingming from suspicion, Songhua secretly dispatched troops, wipe out Mangetsu's group. If Gao Qing is contemplating cheating, inside Yenzhou City, all the vagrants connected to him will die. Gao Qingming was forced into a frustration. He could only join the mission to capture Mangetsu's gang. At the moment of his arrest, the truth is already known. Gao Qingming wanted to protect Manuel. Even if everyone else including Yenyu, countless rebels are considered rebels. He was willing to do it too. In the end, he was willing to atone with his life. Yenyu made his stance clear. Hope Gao Qingming will keep the full moon. Atonement in this way. But no one expected this, witnessing the death of his close friend Mangetsu, because of excessive resentment, and on the wedding night of Songhua and Qingming, activate the killing spree. In the end, she was killed by Magu, punished at the Delona Hotel for 1,000 years of atonement. After learning the truth, Manuel was finally able to stay calm, let go of the hatred that has persisted for 1,000 years, and quietly helping his hemp pot. They believe the time has come, so he told him the truth about another matter. That is, Gao Qingming did not reincarnate. He was the first guest at the Del Luna Hotel. But to fulfill the vow to protect the full moon, she has always guarded Mangetsu in the form of a firefly. Now, as long as the full moon is willing, Gao Qingming would appear before him. Sure enough, with the full moon, her life was a minor illness. Qingming indeed appeared to see Manuel, but at this very moment, he had long since returned to his former state. With Gao Qingming's appearance, that full moon hairpin also vanished into thin air. This means 1,000 years of entanglement. Manuel and Gao Qingming both let go of each other without a second thought. To ensure the full moon's merit is complete, there are several sins involved. Aunt Ma will lead Qingming into the underworld tunnel. He told Manuel about Kai Qing's situation. He also proposed that she escort Qingming to the underworld. This is also the full moon separation moon spirit technique. The last annoyance to endure. Mangetsu agreed. The day we set off, Sanqing personally escorted the full moon as she boarded the carriage. Before leaving, the full moon told her to wait for him to return. But time passed bit by bit. Looking at the empty exit of the underworld tunnel, disappointment and sadness began to fill Sanqing's heart bit by bit. Afraid that after today's parting, they would never see each other again. At that moment, Manuel was walking on the bridge with Qingming. Qingming reached out his hand. He invited Mangetsu to leave with him. The hotel staff waited at the intersection of the underworld. I see the full moon lingering and has not returned. They believe she followed Gao Qingming to the underworld. Ermagu also began preparations. Brewed moon spirit grass wine for the next hotel owner. The next master will also be someone full of resentment. At the very moment of drinking, the soul will be bound to the moon spirit technique. When harvesting medicinal herbs, Ermagu discovered that the most important part, the moon spirit grass, had already been used up. New medicinal herbs must pass through a time tunnel, back to Mangetsu Hall 200 years ago. This is the predecessor of the Delona Hotel. Aunt Madama learned of this. He entrusted this task to Sanqing, who missed Manuel. He also instructed him that he absolutely must not eat or drink the food there. Otherwise, he wouldn't have come back. After hearing that the full moon from 100 years ago could be seen, without hesitation, he accepted the mission. He followed Aunt Ma's instructions. I found the entrance to Mangetsu Hall. There, he met the guest room master and Jin Shuxing, just as he was skillfully finding the moon spirit grass. But unexpectedly, Mangetsu mistook her for a thief and caught her. During the standoff, the Chongshin Magu breaks into the full moon hall, forcing the debt to be repaid within a full month. Frightened, Manuel hurriedly dodged. Sanqing mentioned that he also knew Magu, and he gets along well with all of them. Upon hearing this, Manuel and Sanqing grabbed the nearby staff. He found a place to drink and chat with Sanqing. During the time he stayed at Manuel Hall, Sanqing learned from the various room leaders and Jin Shuxing. The poor god mushroom came to find the reason for the full moon. That is, Mangetsu, bored and addicted to gambling. At first, he made quite a bit of money by putting in old money. Later, the god of poverty, Mushroom, came knocking. Within a month, he lost everything. Sanqing knew that once a deity appeared at Full Moon Hall, Mangetsu and the others couldn't be driven away. But she also knew, the reason the god of poverty Magu relentlessly pursues the full moon is, it's not really about wanting to end up homeless on the streets for a full month. He just wanted to give her a little punishment. To this end, Sanqing came up with a win-win idea. She also made Manuel agree to the poor god Magu. Once you leave, never hide again. On the other hand, he stirs emotions in the small doubts about the poverty god Magu. And it was a game of Go. Successfully persuaded her to leave Mangetsudo. This makes the full moon very happy. To thank Sanqing, the full moon not only stands on its own in the theater, he even poured her a glass of wine, invited Sanqing to stay at Manwoltang. But he wanted to return to reality. Waiting for the full moon, Sanqing didn't drink any alcohol. She drew a gourmet map for Manuel. Mark her with the specialty foods of different regions. Hopefully, the full moon will turn the search for delicious food into a new hobby. Then Zhanlai Yu Lingchao returned to the Delona Hotel. Perhaps this is why Mangetsu loves good food. As payment for this mission, Mama Gu told her the news of her full moon return. Excited, Sanqing hurried to the entrance of the underworld tunnel. Sanqing took him to eat pork soup rice. As the two chatted and laughed, But Manuel once again took out a medicine that could seal the ghost eye. She knew that when she was sending Qing-myung to the underworld, the housekeeper had once given this bottle of medicine to Kai-shing, but Kai-shing refused to take it. Now, after the full moon, she hopes Kai-shing can wait until she leaves, seal the ghost eye and live a normal life. But Kai-shing only agreed vaguely. As scholar Jean left, Hyunjung also waited for his sister. The housekeeper realized he didn't have much time left. She visited the pregnant woman again. The two of them started talking about their child. Pregnant women don't care whether the baby is male or female. Nowadays, having a boy or a girl is the same. They are all mothers' favorites. Pregnant women also plan to have children with their own children. Upon hearing this, the guest room was instantly adorned with long fur. It resolved the hatred in his heart. Xianzhong departed. Yuna painfully bids her lover his final farewell. The last to leave was the housekeeper. The once lively Delona Hotel. Now only Manuel remains. Fortunately, she still had Chanxing by her side. The two of them relied on each other and guarded the quiet hotel, so that Manuel could leave without regrets. Chanxing asked San Magu to reverse the time for her. Let Manuel spend a winter with him under the moon spirit tree before leaving. Magu thoughtfully started snowflakes for them. After spending this romantic date, the full moon welcomed her departure. At the entrance to the underworld tunnel, she and Sanqing bid farewell one by one. The two lovers couldn't help but embrace and weep bitterly. But what is meant to happen will come. Manuel finally left Qing's embrace. Then, without looking back, he walked toward the underworld. Sanqing stood at the tunnel entrance, watching her leave, until the full moon of Qianying was never seen again. After the full moon is gone, Sanqing resumed his single life. In my spare time, but she went to visit Yuna. After learning that the other party had taken the medicine that sealed the ghost eye, he was able to live normally and successfully get into university. She was genuinely happy for Yuna, but when the other party asked if she was taking her medicine, Kai-shing just smiled and said nothing. Just tell Yuna. He had been steadfastly keeping his promise to Mangetsu. He said goodbye to Yuna. Kai-shing went alone to the garden to read. Among a crowd laughing and playing around nearby, she seemed to see Jin Shuxing living a normal life. Yifangchong and Xianzhong. She believed in this group of old friends. It must be somewhere right beside you, living a happy life, and her favorite is Mangetsu. He also made his way through the crowds to return to her, accompanying him to witness all the beauty and happiness in this world. After all, the three horse kingdoms in charge of marriage once secretly let slip. His connection to Manuel had actually always been connected. Now, as long as there is love, people will remain. May all friends in this world be like the full moon, and unexpectedly run into the one you love. Embrace love that brings warmth. Meanwhile, Del Luna Hotel has also welcomed a new director. This time it was a handsome male boss. The show ends. Alright, that's all for you. Feel free to like, leave a message, excessive commentary, unsubscribe. Clock in at regular times every day. Copyworm volume. Laughing and playing around all day. Bye bye.